Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we are on with Kasey Spear, and she's going to be talking about breaking the cylinder of limited consciousness. You may notice that her tone or energy may shift, that she brings in uh, an amazing energy and consciousness and this benevolence in the form of Julius. I'll let Kasey tell you a little bit more about. A lot of y'all are familiar with it, but some of y'all may be new. And it's always great to get reacquainted, especially we've been off for a while. But it's the energy, the wisdom, and the activation that gets transmitted uh, with Kasey, with Julius amplifying the space for all of us. It's really quite notable. And that by itself is amazing on this call today. So again, we're going to dive into breaking the cylinder of limited consciousness. We're going to talk about how humans have created their own individual matrix of limitation.
Yeah.
How does the altered ego play into frequency rates? And what keeps us in limitation, and how do we release it? And we're going to get so much more. We'll probably get into some Q&A also. But I hope you all have an opportunity to sit back, really take in what is being transmitted here for your benefit, and come on the ride with us. And with that, Kasey, welcome to the call today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, John. I wanted to, if I can, I was thinking this morning, getting myself all prepared for these shows with you. They're just such a joy and a delight. And, kind of sending out the energy projection for the invitation for people, who are going to come and they're going to listen. And I was inspired by Julius to say to everybody, if I may, everybody always makes a decision, John. What are they going to invest in? Who are they going to resonate with when they watch these beautiful shows with you and these wonderful, wonderful opportunities for all of them? And I wanted to invite everybody to go through a tiny little process with me, if you don't mind, that might help them decide, right? Might help them decide either on me or whoever they decide to resonate with on your show. And I wanted to invite everybody we're going to send the altered ego out of the room, right? We're going to allow the heart space and the soul to step forward with this transmission. And that way you'll know that if you are drawn to this conversation and to this offering, that it's coming from your soul. And if you're not, that's coming from your soul too. So everybody can feel very confident and secure in what they're going to experience today. So I want to invite everybody to just hold their hand on their beautiful heart space and close their eyes for just a moment. And we do this at our retreats and for our classes and courses and things like that. And we just really want you to just take a very brief moment and just in your mind's eye, maybe visualize maybe what the altered ego looks like to you. Could be a light that sits around you, maybe a little shadowy light, maybe a little phantom, that hangs out. And we're going to invite that altered ego with love to leave the experience tonight. So we're just going to imagine that wherever you are seated, that your window is opening up or your door is opening up, and that altered ego is just floating out of your space. Just send them with love. We are creating a high frequency resonance experience here for your soul's alignment. That altered ego can re-engage with us later on when it's appropriate. But for right now and throughout this narrative and throughout this experience, we're going to let it go. And with joy and love and enthusiasm, we invite the soul to step forward. All is well, all is magnificent, and so much gratitude for all of you for the invitation to be here with you, John. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. That really sets a tone. Kasey, share a little bit more about what you're up to lately and also about your relationship with Julius.
Yeah. Transition, it seems like there's so much energy transition in all of our lives over the last couple of years. It seems like, I know for me, it hit me like a freight train about a year and a half ago. I know that many people have had massive, massive shifts and changes. It just seems like everything's shifting. We've been hearing for years, John, shifts coming, awakening is coming, all of this energy is transitioning. And I think that by now we know that, well, I don't think there's anybody new here on the planet. I think we've been here before. We kind of got geared up for what it is that we are ready to break through and ready to experience this time around. And I thought I had it all figured out about 15 years ago when I started channeling Julius. Pretty cool thing to do is be a channel. Pretty cool thing to do, for people to tap in and be able to provide information. I was pretty much thought I had found my purpose, and I had, and all was rolling. And then the shite hit the fan about a year and a half ago. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing more, right? And thankfully, Julius was carrying me through that. Julius is an Ascended Masters group collective. Now, Julius is kind of the primary personality that steps forward, but they will always refer to themselves as a form of a collective consciousness. They've been with me for about 15 years. And even that group has amplified itself up for me, John. So whole new levels of processes. So I didn't do energy processes for a long time. I did teachings. You could come to retreats. You've been to a retreat. Julius comes through, gives great information to everybody. But these processes, these energetic processes, are continuing to be new. It seems like every couple of months, there's something else. I'm like, good holy heavens, more information about these obstacles that we've created for ourselves. Luckily, they aren't permanent. Luckily, we have the wherewithal to get through them. And Julius just continues to give me these downloads about what these obstacles are, where they come from, and of course, the solution. Of course, the solution. We hate it when we just get all the bad news, right? It's like, are we ever getting out of this thing? It's like, of course, we're getting out of this thing. And it's going to be the most extraordinary experience of empowerment for everybody. So these processes are not just with the intention of me fixing you or Julius fixing you. They get you into the empowered position of creating this experience for yourself, with Julius guiding you, with Julius carrying you. So that has been, I don't even know how to explain it. Amazing, wonderful, joyous, but even the level of understanding, purposeful intent, it has been immeasurable. So that continues for me as we continue to unfold these processes. Thankfully, I have beautiful runner like you, John, where I can tap into you and go, I got something else. You're like,
Mm,
really? Okay.
let's
And
do it.
here we
Yeah.
are, in our offering. So it is amazing.
Well, speaking about not knowing and more revealing itself, going into today's topic is that we are breaking a cycle of limitations. And it's
Yeah.
something that's coming up strongly that I'm so intrigued to talk about with you today is really acknowledging that we've created our own individual matrix of limitation. And I'd love for you to expand upon that because, again, once we illuminate, then there's a vehicle to cross the threshold. And I feel like in our spiritual awakening and a lot of the work that we've done over the years, it's taken us through the threshold, but
Yeah.
we haven't really had the mechanisms to walk through the threshold into new creation.
Yeah. Yeah. Master, it is an honor to be here with you. The support truth of all that you have just spoken, that we will continue to remind everybody throughout this dialogue, is that you are source. You are source. And though everything, nearly everything in the human experience has contradicted that truth for you, and unfortunately, embodied beings have accepted the truth that has been instilled upon you, for which you are not source, and that there is some kind of power outside of you that is a governing force, that is a decision making force, that is an aligning force for you. And that is the baseline program where all of the limitations come into your reality. For you are all the creator of your realities. Now, there's a big portion of you that remembers this and that knows this. Of course, that's your soul. And then there's a massive part called the altered ego that has grown to an aspect of dysfunctionality, binding everybody in fear and limitation that would continue to support the programming that has been given to you. And we know that you've all been speaking about and that you've all received so much information on this matrix that's out there. And there's many theories on it. And one is that it's a complete simulation that's controlled, and you're all basically these little droids that have been walking around, and there's no way to get out of it, and there's no way to know yourself as more than what they programmed for you to be. It's a mysterious force, not sure who put it there. You know, there could be aliens involved, there could be AI involved. We're not sure who that is, but it always leaves everybody feeling quite helpless, quite victimized, and sometimes even, Master, it discourages people from their conscious journey, feeling as if they're, what's the point, right? If there's always this ceiling, there's always this blockage. Then there's always the conversation about how tangible is this thing, right? Like, is it a metal dome, right? Is it a frequency? Is it a cage? Is it a net? Like, what is it? Okay. Well, we are going to support that it is your own limited perception of yourselves being source. And because you have collectively, as a mass, been programmed through every one of your systems, Masters. So everything from your judicial system to your medical system to your educational system to your religious systems, of course, to your economic systems, to your political systems, everything has rules and agenda to it. Everything has a punishment and reward system to it. That is a limitation as to all that you are. So we do support that there is a form of what we would call a collective conscious, limited accepted perception of self that the mass populace here on the Earthship puts out, that becomes a form of an energetic blockage against further thought or expansive thought. We're going to support that there is no metal dome that sits around you. And even if there was, it's a holographic projection anyway. And as source, you can completely take that down or transfer yourself through it. But that's another conversation. But more than that, there's individualization that occurs when you are a low consciousness being. So keeping in mind, Master, that you are source creating your reality. You will create your reality based on what you know is true. Ultimate truth will inevitably be your experience, but you will create what you choose to create while you are embodied. Because programming has distanced you from your remembrance that you are the all, people perceive themselves as individuals. They speak of individual souls. They use the word I as an individual instead of a collective consciousness aspect. It is a reduction of separation and fear. While you are in a low consciousness state, you will create your own matrix, which is your programming, your limited thought perception of who and what you are, and your whole reality will feed off of that, what we call baseline calibration. Now, so there's many matrices out there, right? There's this mass collective one, and then each of you are having your own reality. So even though you surrender to like and suggestive thought that's pressed upon you, telling you what to think, what to believe, and who to be, there still is a sovereignty about you. There's always going to be a sovereignty about you. And each of you will even perceive your programs a little bit differently. So you'll create your own cages, your own limitations. And then, of course, there's these other larger ones. There's limitations that come through the organizations that you identify yourself through. Each of the things that we mentioned are forms of identification for you, identifying markers. That creates a limited format of truth for you. As you start to break out of those limited identities, some of the matrices come back down, but then others can come into play. We're going to support that you have matrices or cylinders. We're going to call them cylinders, and we're going to switch dialogue because our narrative is cylinders, and they could exist for each energy body that you hold. There's 7 energetic bodies. So depending on how deeply saturated you are in a low frequency state, fear-based, victimization, trauma, you may be feeling very, very trapped in your life. And it's very real. It's your own trapped thoughts of limitation. As you grow your consciousness, as you and many of the people that watch this program grow their consciousness, some of that breaks away. And you see and feel some of that movement. The problem with programmed thinking, Master, is you aren't aware of it usually. That's what makes it so effective. That's the altered ego. So your altered ego is full of programming. Your soul is not. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? So when you're operating from your altered ego, you're operating from the limited perception. When you're operating from the soul, you're operating from open-minded, all possibilities. But humanoids are mostly in fear and limitation when they live their lives. Their lives are full of that, their traumas, their dramas, their relationships, and things of that nature. So the cylinder is kind of an invisible force. We tell people it's almost like a glass container, but you can move freely around it. It's like 12 feet in diameter. It bends and morphs with you in your life. And we're going to take you through processes where you're going to take that thing down. We're going to do a group one with you where it's going to take a collective matrix down. That's going to work very effectively for people who still participate in a lot of organizational things. So there's still a lot of people who are in the education system, who are in the economic system, who are in the political system. And then there are people who have more individuated aspects of these thought limitations, and it's extraordinary. The best part about this is you're going to do it. So even though we do have processes where we're doing most of the work for you, you're going to be the facilitator of this, because what is the point for you to try to let go of a program that tells you that you're not source by having somebody else do work, which makes you feel that you're not source? We choose to move you into an empowered position and guide you through your freedom of what you have perceived to be truth and limiting for you. So it's an extraordinary process. And we always want to leave everybody secure and safe. When it comes to their energy, it is the most valuable and most vulnerable aspect for that which you are, because you are energy. And by doing so, moving you into a position where you feel safe as the guide and the one that is directing this experience for your own self, that is also what releases you from that limitation.
Beautiful. Well, what's the relationship between well, first a clarification. The process that you're speaking about and taking people through it, that's through the special offer that there's an opportunity to go into. And y'all, we're going to review the special offer a little bit later. There's also an opportunity to work with Julius and Kasey one-on-one. I've already signed up. I'm booking my session and diving into the course, which is going to be wonderful. But for clarity's sake, I wanted to point that out. We are going to get into Q&A and more of a transmission, and you may already be feeling the phase coherence, the tonality of resonance in which we're all rising up to together. And I love that Julius speaks about empowering you, because once we get there together, because of the commonality of the intentionality of what we're holding and bringing that to our consciousness here and now, there's an opportunity to raise the vibrational tone so that we can secure it at a new standard, if you will, a new threshold, and really level that we're able to keep going back to, and then finally just completely tune into and keep walking from that point. So again, the
Yeah, it's a
acclimation
calibration, really, isn't it? It's like a calibrated state, right? So when you are calibrated, you have a safety net, right? No matter where you go, the worst you can fall is where you're calibrated, right? So it's up leveling everybody in a calibration adjustment for frequency. But here's what's really becomes interesting. You speak of, and we all speak of, again, Ameth, known as collective creative thought, intention, and knowing. And it creates a reality for all of us. Okay. Everybody who's embodied, everybody who's physical or non-physical, having a conscious experience using the Earthship as a platform for that. When you are individuated in your perception, meaning you are of a lower level of consciousness, and before we continue, we just want to throw this in really quickly. We didn't say this is good or bad. Please take the narrative out of your head that if you think you're low level, that that's a bad thing. It just is. It just is. A low level of consciousness being does not accept fully that they are source, and they think of themselves as separate. They have needs, they have attachments, they have wants, they have traumas, they have fears, they have pain, they have suffering. Big issues for humans, big issues for humans, which is part of being a low consciousness being. When you are from that perspective, Master, you are easily kept captive. That's why all of the systems out there keep you individuated. Because once you step into your unity consciousness power, you'll know there's only one of us here. And the power behind that mind intention is exponential to every individual gathering. Okay. So when people think of how is this all going to change, how are we going to get everybody on board? How are we going to get everybody to want to elevate the consciousness of humanity and things like that? And we say, let's get everybody to unity consciousness. It's all that needs to take place. Like they don't even need to know what the program is. Okay, guys, here's your assignment, right? We're going to tackle this and we're going to tackle this and we're going to tackle this. It's like, you don't even need to worry about the assignment. It's a consciousness to get everybody to. And even if that consciousness ends up being over with the ones that have captivated, with the ones that cause harm, with the ones that war, with the ones that damage, their consciousness needs to come up, right? So it's an elevated state. Now, the exponential energy of even any of you or us doing that work is an invitation, and it is a what do we want to call that? It's a very broad reach. It's a very broad reach. And so even though sometimes it feels like it's hopeless, like when is this going to happen? And when's the plan? And give us a time frame. And could we get the train schedule for when the train's coming in, right? So I know what to do and what is my assignment. And we try to tell everybody, while we do not want to discourage your dreams, your plans, everything that you choose to be. That is what you do. You are a creator of possibility for yourself. The primary focus, Master, is your consciousness and your frequency, because they are the same thing. Okay. And so most embodied beings, Master, have not been efficiently or effectively guided back to understanding what their frequency is, how to raise it, what's keeping it captive, And that's where these conversations come in, like you said. Now, information has come out, which is awesome, right? So everybody's all excited about this movement and moving into a possibility, but still people are very confused about exactly what that means. A lot of people still feel like some magic wand is going to be waved and something's going to come across and happen for them. And we say, no, you are source. Okay. So there isn't something outside of you that does that. You release that, right? You release it. You're going to peel off everything that's covering it. Okay. So it's not something that you discover. It's something that you unleash. That's great news. So you are all source energy and you are the highest frequency. That's who you are. You've covered it up with forgetfulness, and that's going to come off. That is the most extraordinary truth, Masters, because it doesn't mean you have to wait for anything. Not really. You've been programmed to believe you have to, but we're going to help you eliminate that program as well. So this starts with such an amazing shift in your individuated realities. And let's face it, people want that. They want to be well. They want to be loved. They want to know love. They want to give it. They want to receive it. They want their traumas to go away. They want their fears to go away. They want their limitations to go away. They want to be able to ascend and descend through thought here on the physical plane and not feel victimized by karmic wheels or Akashic records or reincarnation. And they want abundance and to live lives freely in any way that they want. And we say, yeah, isn't that awesome? Because that's all what happens. You don't even have to pick or choose. You don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to pick or choose. It's all the way that it works when this frequency unleashes itself, and that's who you are, right?
When the frequency unleashes, how does that affect the patterns in the subconscious? And is the subconscious and the alter ego the same, or are they
Yeah,
different components?
such great questions. Okay, so here's the cool thing. Time does not exist. Distance does not exist. Everything is a perception. Everything is a perception. Okay. So your subconscious is a program that convinces you that things are from your past and that you store things historically. Okay. So let's say your subconscious might hold things about your childhood. Okay. Or your youth. Okay. And that is not that that's not true, but it's not true that's in the past. Okay. Your subconscious and your altered ego keep you living away from the now, from your reality. They've got you tied and bound to previous and next. When you are operating from those perceptions, you're in low frequency automatically, automatically. So the subconscious and the altered ego are very interlinked. In fact, we could tell you, Master, in many cases, people could really call them synonyms of each other. They are everything not in the alignment with the now. The now is fresh material. It's a new location. It's virgin territory. It's full of all possibility. And it makes every experience and every thought living and breathing and ongoing, where the subconscious and the altered ego will convince you that it's gone, that you can't retrieve it, and that it's not changeable. Okay. So this is how you move away from, because trauma is holding on and keeping living something that was extremely painful for you and believing that it's not going to change, that you're not going to be able to shift it and change it. And the now will make it a living and breathing current state where you can control the outcome and you can control the perception of it, allowing for that no longer to be traumatic within your physical body. So we're gonna say this too, if we may. We want to explain to everybody the difference between the ego and the altered ego, if we may, because that's big. Okay. When you decided to create a physical realm of any kind, Master, of any kind, we'll just use the Earthship as an example, so that you could play out thought and emotion in a physical aspect to know it through a sensory system, which is just a way of an infinite amount of ways that you know yourself as source to be. When you descended onto an environmental realm has environmental conditions to it, and you created a physical body to interact with an environmental realm, there can be a risk factor to your safety in an environmental realm when you have an environmental based costume. Okay. So you instilled a very small piece of your brain in your brain called an ego that basically would kind of warn you away from danger. It sits in your second energy frequency band, your infrared energy bandwidth, and it's your instincts. Okay. It's like the deer in the headlight, get me out of the safety. It was just a small piece of you. 99.9% of you was in joy and magnificence and creativity and flow. And in this high vibration, you had this tiny little thing called an ego that was your environmental, okay, gift of observation. That's what ego means. Have you ever been told that one before?
Wow.
Okay. Tiny little piece. Now, unfortunately, fear feeds this ego, and it grew and grew and became an altered ego state that dominated your thought and perception field, and your joy and your possibility and your creativity and your adventurism and your knowing that you are source reduced down as fear crept in, and the altered ego became more and more and more about where you create your reality from. So that's the altered ego state. We say it, your problem is not your ego, it's your altered ego. It's your altered ego state. And the altered ego feeds the subconscious, and the altered ego lives in the past. It lives in the past. It doesn't live in the now. That's where all your warning signs come up. It's like, oh, don't do that again, right? Or you remember what happened to Ralph, right? Like it lives in the past, okay? And your soul knows that it's source, and there's nothing to fear because you shall never cease. And so it doesn't live in a state of fear. And so when you do operate from the soul, this is where all this extraordinary magnificence and possibility unleashes itself. So that's the unleashment that we are talking about. Now, when that happens, when you raise your frequency, here's the good news. When you raise your frequency, your altered ego starts to reduce itself and go back to its originality, which is the ego. So even when you are a fifth level of consciousness being, and you choose to remain embodied and walk on a realm, your ego is not where you perceive or create from. It's just an environmental safety mechanism, okay? So it doesn't interfere with you, but it will be with you while you're in an environmental condition wearing a physically environmental suit, okay? But it doesn't have any interference at all on your conscious journey once that altered ego gets back to where it belongs with love. And of course, it's all full of judgment, because that's what all the programming is about, is to judge yourself against being source.
So how do we stop the seesawing back and forth between the ego and the altered ego? Because it seems, especially in our communities, so many of y'all following Kasey for a while, being on BTO, this isn't your first rodeo, or maybe even having these type of conversations. But
Right.
there's this effect where it's like it's going in and out, and we think that we just got there. Like you said, it's like a year and a half ago, something just like I thought I was like in a different place, or I knew
Yeah.
that I was, but something came in that
Yeah.
it was crystallizing something new that was possible, that was ready to blossom, I'll say.
Yeah.
So what's different now, and how can we be more stable in that field
Yeah.
instead of asking, it's like, damn, I thought I was already done with that. Why am I repeating this again?
So, you know, what humanoids tend to forget, Master, is the discipline of mindfulness. Okay. And we know that you hear that all the time, but we're not sure that everybody truly understands what we're speaking of. Okay. Truly understands what we're speaking of. Okay. You lose yourself when you're not aware, because the realm is so saturated dominantly with fear-based thoughts that take you away from knowing that you are source. If you are not mindful of the thoughts that you are choosing, you are subject to falling for the convincing of those thoughts in your altered ego and in your subconscious mind. That's where they go. Okay. When we tell people that the difference between a low consciousness state and a high consciousness state is the percentage of time that you are aware of your thoughts and you're choosing your thoughts versus not paying attention to what you're thinking of. Now, just try to grasp that for a minute. Just try to grasp that for a minute. That is so much focus and so much awareness, Master, that you actually do it even when you're sleeping.
Mm. Wow.
Now, you will get there. You will get there with practice, with remembrance, and with frequency calibration. But it takes that much intention, that much. And people haven't been taught how to do it. They haven't even been told what we just told you, that's how you do consciousness, and they're lazy. They're programmed to be lazy, but they're programmed to think what people want them to think. That's long been proven, right? All they got to do is put social media on, flash it 9 times, and you believe it. Okay, they already know how the brain works, right? They've killed brain cells, they've toxified the brain. It's full of plastic, metal, and aluminum. Okay, they've got the reptilian brain so overinflated, and that's where you get programming locked into. So you're fighting, we don't like to use that term, where you're challenged against the way you're used to operating. So this has become what you've become familiar with. Okay, this isn't even what you're addicted to. This isn't like giving up an addiction. This is like what you've become familiar with. So when you ask somebody to change, master, the way they think, they don't understand that what you're asking is for them to become aware of what they think, and they think they can't do it. They're like, oh, that's just too much concentration. And we're like, actually, it's not. It's really what you do in your natural, authentic state. You've been dragged away from it. Seriously, you have no idea the amount of time or the amount of application that it has taken to distract you. Like they literally had to mess with your brain to get you to stop being aware of your thoughts. So when you are deciding to become an extremely masterful, disciplined, thought choosing and creating high consciousness being, you're going to change a lot of things in your life, and people just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's really where the root of the practice of devotion comes in. Because it is a concentrated thought form, but it's also led from the heart. And so it's not just the mindful practice that we're trying to loop to change a pattern so that we don't repeat what we don't want. It's really activating more of the core of the unity within ourselves.
Yeah, and it's new thought all the time. Okay. So the other thing that humanoids lose sight of, or maybe they've never even been aware of, is how much they regurgitate thought. Your lives are just on repeat. They're just on loop. They're just on a loop. What did you do this morning? What are you going to do tomorrow morning? What are you going to do the morning after that? Right? What time do you get up? What time do you go to bed? What time do you go running? How many miles do you run? Like you're on loop. Okay. That's where the subconscious mind has the advantage, because it'll run all those programs for you and not even charge you for it.
So, y'all, we're going to get into the special offer here in a little bit, and we are definitely going to get into Q&A with Kasey and Julius. And before we do either one of those, though, you talked about the matrix, and then we talked about the cylinder and reframing it. But there's a way in which the cylinder function that allows for a redistribution and maybe a refinement of what's carried through the matrix to create a new possibility. It's like, what exactly is a cylinder, and how does it um, work or influence what we're creating?
We're going to go as far as we're going to take you all on a journey of theory and thought possibility. And what if we told you that your own individual matrix is your universe that you call upon for things? It is the universe that is created, that you have live your reality inside of. Okay. And that's what happens with the universe. Now, the reason that we say that is because almost everybody will agree to the theory of whatever energy you put out, you get back, right? The energy output, that's called karma, right? Don't worry about that SOB over there and all the terrible things that he did, because he's going to get, the universe is going to give that back to him, right? And odds are it's going to give it back to him amplified. right? Now, on the grade scope of that being true, you've all heard, you do good, you do high frequency, and it's going to come back to you amplified. And we're like, awesome. That's the cylinder.
Mhm.
So it's literally a rebound effect of your energy back to you because you're creating your reality. It's basically like your own universe that you're living in. So when you are a low frequency energetic being and you're projecting out that energy, what do you think that energy is bouncing off of? Okay. So when you say, well, the universe is going to give you back that energy, we're like, from where? Like,
Mm.
how far is like, how far is your energy going to have to fly before the catcher's mitt is going to catch it and go, you know what? I think I'm going to throw it back now. Right. Like, what's the time involved? What's the distance involved? Right. On that. How quickly does that affect your reality? So it's a cause and effect demonstration. We're going to support that your energy output is immediately thrown back to you. It's just a question of whether you're aware of it or not.
It's
Okay.
non-local, and
Right. And
yeah,
you can't see it, right? You
yeah.
can't really tangibly see it. But if you could, you'd be like, oh my God, right? Like, seriously, you would never be angry again in your life because it will just go bam, and it just comes right back at you like a bulldozer. Okay. And you're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? And we're like about 12 feet away from you.
Mm.
That's how fast it is. And masters, if it doesn't show up immediately as an experience, it gets internalized. So if that anger that you just threw out hits you from before it even gets across the room, and you'll see it either with somebody getting angry at you or the byproduct of your anger. Let's say, well, my anger didn't affect me. We're like, really? How's your health?
Mhm.
What's the love in your life? How are your finances? Right? How's that working? Because you will internalize or actualize. So we say that your physical body are your thoughts and emotions actualized. You actualize your own frequency by 90%. The person that you got mad at, they get about 10% of your energy. You get 90% of it. You're killing yourself with your anger, with your resentment, with your
Mhm.
depression, with your trauma, because it's bam, it's that fast. Because the universe, master, doesn't really exist. What we mean is everything's a holographic projection, and that's a truth. But you are source knowing itself, and you keep it close
Amazing.
because there's no such thing as distance when it comes to frequency. There's no dissipation in frequency, which means there's no distance. For distance can only occur from 2 points of measure where something dissipates from its original occurrence, and that's not possible when it comes to energy.
Mhm. Mhm. This is perfect, and this really makes, if we can sit with presence, the thresholds that we've been looking to cross to create something new or to get into that expansionary place that's liberating, it makes it extremely accessible.
Isn't that the coolest thing? Like, we try to tell everybody, you don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to invite anything. You don't even really have to allow anything other than yourself, You hold your own selves back. You judge your own selves. Allowing is allowing yourself to be source. You give permission to yourself to be your energy, but you've been programmed to wait, and you've been programmed to think it's not reachable. And you've been programmed to think that you have to achieve certain things and you have to behave a certain way. And that is a truth according to consciousness and how your frequency will resonate to create an experience for you. So that is the law, okay? The law. It is theoretical physics, master, reduced to quantum physics, excuse us, theoretical physics reduced to metaphysics reduced to quantum physics, okay? And all of that has aspects of physicality to it. But you are a theoretical physicist. You're source. You're making it up. as you go with no rules. Rules only get reduced into your programming. And it's coming back to that. It's not possible to articulate to you what that's going to be like for you because words are late and old. All we can tell you, masters, is just think about it. Just think about it and what you could do with it. And we will say, now think about it and know that you will.
Beautiful. Y'all, and the question now, and it's being offered here, but there's an opportunity to go deeper into the how, into the vibrational space that really allows the penetration of the threshold and breaking of the cylinder of limited consciousness, which is what the special offer is, which also includes, if you go into package B, session with Kasey and Julius as well. So I'd love for y'all to follow along because, and again, this is a transmission and an activation, also this awareness that it's pulsing awake within us during this call is going to serve you. And so we're going to continue the conversation with a special offer as well. So April has put the link in the chat box for y'all to open up the special offer. There's also a special offer button underneath the video where you're watching the call from, or there should be. And if you're watching on the replay page, again, the special offer link is right underneath the video on the webpage, and you can always find all our offers on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And I'm not sure, Julius, if you're going to guide this or if it's going to be Kasey, but whoever's choosing to, if you can guide everybody through us, that'd be wonderful.
You know, this extraordinary aspect of knowing yourself as source, masters, we will say, comes from the heart space. We'll say we're cut from the heart space. And it always comes from a space of non-judgment of all thought possibility, masters, of all thought possibilities. And to practice this state of beingness for yourself is what will help you accept this truth. So when we take you into a state of beingness where you get to experience the vibration and the possibility of self-love and truth, it is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself, right? And it is something that we invite everybody to find a way to practice every day. And you may find your own way, but with your permission, we would love to guide you into a way for about 5 minutes, okay? And to gift your beautiful audience the gift of themselves, the gift of joy and possibility. We want to begin this process, if we may, by asking everyone to close their eyes and place their hand on their heart for a moment. And as you just take a moment of pause, you allow the breath to rhythm itself. So as you inhale 1, 2, 3, and exhale 3, 2, 1. And we're going to do that again. Please inhale 1, 2, 3. And we're going to exhale 3, 2, 1. Now, masters, in your mind's eye, we are going to ask you to imagine that there's a beautiful lit star in the center of your brains. Just as if you are gazing upward into your skies as the dusk comes into play or the dawn starts to emerge, and the North Star can still be visualized upward. Imagine that star in your brain, and it is getting brighter and brighter. It is not growing in circumference, master. It is getting more and more radiant, masters. And this is the expansiveness of self-love. It is everything that is true, that is all that you are. Keep breathing as you grow the illuminated state of this deep starred activation deep in the center of your brain. Your pituitary gland is coming online. It is the master gland of all of your glandular release throughout your physical body, and so shall it flow with your knowing. Imagine, masters, the deepest truth of love and safety. You are safe, masters. You are safe, safer than you have ever felt. You are secure, secure in your knowing. Nein, ja, to lukuja kipiästi ja lähem ja ta kuja linmuja. Känni piästä. Breathe and hold this light, masters. Hold it and feel that it is emerging from deep inside of you. You are the creator of this truth, masters. Live in this frequency space. Know that you are the projection field of all that is possible. Na 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 ke pela ke mia we ke pia mo ya ni o da ke pia shu ke ni mo ya ya hold it ya mo ke pia la spia ke pia ke dia to ke pia pia we me to ke pia ini ku ke pia sham spia ke pia shem we ya ke pia we ya mi da. Now blow your energy up, masters. Blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, filling up your whole brain, filling up your head. Star projection, radiant light, infinite truth. Dea stoile kipia. Nae moya kepe. We're going to allow this light to continue to expand. You are safe and you are well. This is a strength that cannot be compromised. It cannot be compromised, for fear cannot live in this vibration, master. You are safe and well. Now come back with us as a quick visualization pivot, and let's place that light in your heart. Allow your brain and your head to remain open. All is well. You may be feeling a slight buzz. All is well. Just breathe. Envision a light underneath your hand, a blue light, as if you are wearing a jeweled pendant around your neck and your hand is placed over it. Beautiful blue light, masters. All is well. Now calm yourself down with your breathing. Inhale 1, 2, 3, and hold, masters. Now exhale 3, 2, and 1, and hold. One more time. Fill your body up. Inhale 1, 2, 3, and hold. And exhale 3, 2, 1, hold, and release, and come back to your normal breathing. You are the most extraordinary beings. You have descended yourself upon this earth ship knowing you were going to put yourselves through amnesia, and yet you came anyway, just to further the knowing of the all. Please see yourselves this way. See the bravery and the truth and the honor that you are. And when you are ready, masters, you may open your eyes and come back into the physical spaces that you have designed for yourself. As it will be.
Thank you. Is this what's going to happen in these live calls in the special offer? We're going to go deeper into sessions like this.
It is so much fun
Mm.
to exchange and share and know with no fear, no compromise, and no resistance. You shall experience yourself when you do these practices, masters, and each of you could do this with each other. What a beautiful way to deepen the depth of the connection, not only with another sentient master, but knowing that there's only one of us here. So you're actually deepening the aspect of knowing yourselves as the all, right?
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So y'all, in the special offer, again, there's two offers to buy. The first package, it's $149. There's a group session, and these are 30 to 45 minutes of sessions. Going into the cylinder, going into a vibrational tone like this. And Julius or Kasey, how does it set up? Because you have multiple group sessions broken down here.
It's going to be just like this type of format. We're going to be on screen together. There's a limitation per session, of course. We've set that. No worries. No worries. You're going to get your session done. And we're going to blow you up. You're going to blow yourself up. So it's going to be a very active and participating experience. So very deep, deep, guided experience. So we're going to guide you through it. This is going to deal with your, what we want to call the massive group programming that you've received. Okay, so we have the massive group programming on the realm now, which keeps you away from knowing yourself as source. Your individual experiences are going to have a lot to do with removing what you have developed through your own personal traumas, your personal limitations, your own personal judgments of self. So we're going to knock out 2 of the cylinders for you in this experience. If you choose it, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And the aftermath of this is like leaving a cage. It's like having the cage door opened from the gilded cage that you created for yourself. Some people kind of come out and they're like, not sure if I just step out, and other people are like, I'm out of here, right?
Mhm. Wow.
And it is an extraordinary energy upgrade. It's an automatic energy upgrade. So the aftermath is, of course, up to you. The sky's the limit. We always tell everybody it's a great time. It's a great time at that point to do some of your spiritual practices. Maybe go back and listen to some teachings. Maybe go back and revisit some theories. Maybe create new things for yourself, because you're going to see and feel it differently with these cylinders out. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even hear that before. I didn't even think of that possibility. And you're going to have the opportunity to have a clearer state of awareness of the things in your life. And that's invaluable. That's invaluable. Be ready, because you just might learn to love yourself. And what are you going to do with that?
Wow. Wow. So for follow-up for sessions, integrate, go back and revisit what was resonant. What else would you recommend immediately after these sessions? Because I know sometimes it's with Julius, especially over the last couple of years, there's so much coming in
Yeah,
that the landing can be a little wobbly, but
it is so true.
in a beautiful way, right? With the
Yeah, no, it is so true. And thank you for bringing that up, because we do want everybody to feel safe and empowered. For some people, some of you are extremely energy sensitive. Some people are extreme empaths, extreme empaths. Others are a little more grounded in their empathic state. So those that feel extreme empathic aspect, they can feel a lot of turbulence. That's the word we like to use. Turbulence after these energetic sessions. Everyone's going to land. Everyone's going to land. You are source. Okay. So some people can land more immediately, and others are like, whoa, somebody's got to reel me in, right? Is there a kite string attached to this thing, right? Where we can reel it in, and you can create that for yourself. The end of these sessions, we are going to ground you out. We're going to ground you out big time. We've added a little additional grounding time for everybody, because thankfully everybody was very generous in letting us know how these experiences are working for you. A great resource for everybody is to get on the earth immediately afterwards, like literally lay on the ground, or we're even allowing people to lie during the session. Okay. So if you have a grounding sheet or you have a crystal mat, or you can get onto the ground for the session, that's going to help. But immediately following it, as quickly as you can, barefoot on the earth, lots of water into a bathtub or a shower is going to be helpful as well. We also suggest that you try to clean your energy up prior to the session. So we're asking people, if when you have your session scheduled for about the previous 24 to 48 hours, take it easy on the food that you eat. Take it easy, no alcohol, no sugar. We want you clean. We want you clean and fresh for all of this energy. Also going to ask you if you could do it to not be on any type of an electronic device 1 hour prior to the session we're going to pump you through. And same thing coming out of it. If you can stay off of a device for about an hour and just allow yourself possible shavasana or core position out of yoga, and just allow all of your energy bodies to come back into balance. This is dramatically affects your 7 energy bodies. And so some of you need those bodies to calibrate themselves a little bit longer than others. And so with all of those practices, you can also wear shungite, a crystal, and you can do the session with quartz crystals and amethyst crystals in your hand during the process. And that will be really helpful too. Also smoky quartz afterwards. So stick those things in your pockets. Shungite, for anybody who doesn't know what shungite is, it's just a grounding component for a crystal for yourself. So those are suggestions that we can make for you.
Excellent. And you're also offering, as part of this package before we go into the one-on-one session, the supported videos and audios in a sound bath.
Yeah.
So you go
Yeah.
into the cylinder process, explain our brain activation process, aspects of the cylinder, how your limited acceptances create your cylinder, how to keep outside frequencies from affecting you. And I actually want to ask you about that as we move forward, and then moving from believing your source to knowing your source, and then a sound bath that goes in it.
Yeah.
But keeping outside frequencies, and I know we're in the special offer, y'all, but this is so relevant to an experience, and I want to share based on what comes up for me. I noticed that I went through a period where there was a lot of expansion, and I could just feel like I was touching edges that I never touched before, if you will. And it was coming through, and then I did some travel, and something came in, and it felt like something just like I felt like I needed to contract, like I needed to be really guarding of that which had amplified within me. And I'm not sure if I opened myself, that something saw how open it was, oh, an opportunity to have relationship with such openness, or if it was just my, oh, let me hold this as best I can and not let something infiltrate.
Right.
Regardless of what it was, um, what is it that we can take into account for ourselves as we do expand, so that we can maintain that frequency without the fear? It's not even the fear, without the implications of a dense energy coming back in and putting its heavy weight back on the opportunity that just got expanded.
If ever a heavy energy affects you, Master, it means that your frequency was low in that moment. That's the truth. That's not that anybody's doing anything
But it's
wrong
been
or things
happening
like
for
that.
a couple of months, right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And there it's being thrown at you. Like, we don't want to insult, you know, human beings or embodied beings, but the more crowded the places are that you go, the more stress there is for people. People just get stressed in a crowded situation. That's a very low frequency, and it can definitely affect you, move you into fear, moves you into defensiveness. All of the energetic preparation masters that people walk themselves through can be beautifully effective when you know they work, they work. But remember this, you don't have to protect yourself as source. Reminding yourself that your source is usually going to do the trick. Honestly, we just tell everybody, like, give yourself a pep talk, right? Be like, you know what? For heaven's sakes. Now, everybody else is source too. We get that, but they're in a low vibration version of that truth. When you're holding yourself high in a possibility, basically it's like you're the only one in the room that's aware that you're source, right? You're working with awareness versus unawareness, okay? And you know you're going into that environment, like you know you're going to the airport, you know you're getting on a train, you know you're getting on a plane, right? You know you're going to a big box store. We can't name any names. We don't want to get in trouble, depending on where you're going. Like, seriously, you hold yourself and you go, I'm source. I'm source in this situation. I don't need to defend. I don't need to protect. I need to project. I need to project. That's
Mm.
our perception. Now, if you can't accept that truth, then protect your energy by all means. Okay. And you literally just put in energy intention for yourself, clear your energy bodies, put a projection field around yourself, and then clear them again, masters, afterwards. Okay. It's like you're got dipped, in syrup, right? And you want to get that off of you. Okay. And immediately you isolate yourself. Okay. You go quiet, you go away from everybody. Like, seriously, for immediate 15 minutes to recalibrate your energy and set your intention. And it's a practice and it's a priority. People will be like, oh, I didn't have time to do that. We're like, really? Well, there's no time. So I guess you fell into that program, right? But it's also a priority. We said early in this conversation, when you get to a point, to a particular state of consciousness, master, the only thing that becomes a priority is your frequency. It's the only thing. It's like breathing to you. Okay. Not being mindful of your frequency would be like holding your breath and trying to go through the day. It will become your only thing that you think about, and everything else will fall into place based on your frequency. So you don't even need to give anything another thought. Like, seriously, it gets freakish that way. Freakish that way. All you do is go, I need somebody to help me with this. Nah, I don't need to worry about that. And you blow up your energy and bam, someone calls you and you just start laughing, right? It's like, this is so ridiculous on how this works. Now, in the meantime, you practice it, and you practice it in areas where you you can't accept it. But if anything is coming in, you have dropped your guard, you got distracted. So we're going to use the word distracted. Okay. So anytime anything comes in, you got distracted from your projection field. So go back in, project it again, and push it out, because it'll go out. It's just like a sonic frequency as you vibrate, and it moves things out of your space. That's what that does. Okay. Does that
And
help you?
I really appreciate that you're saying to go back within, because some of the practices like, oh, let me connect with my guides. Let me sit in meditation and amplify over the field around me. And it was when I finally came back to the remembrance, I'm to breathe myself in. I am to circulate my frequency and the truth of that, and which then the capable of. That's when it really started moving. But I was really shown that for a while I was trying to source from outside of myself.
Yeah, and it'll work for a while. Again, it depends on your perception and your level of consciousness. If you can't accept a certain thing to be true, it won't be true for you. So
Mm,
it's a progressional thing. So when people are first coming on their conscious journey and they got to protect and they got to cast spells and they've got to, do this and they've got to do this mantra and da 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 da, and we'll say, do it then. Do it as you are convincing yourself, but don't get locked in it, and know that everything expands itself. So then when you find that something isn't working, like you said, oh, this isn't working anymore, we're like, keep going then, keep going. Okay,
mm.
keep going. And the program that everybody has been programmed with is you're not source, and that source is out here, not in here, right? So those are two really great points, is that you are source and it's in here because there's no space or
Yeah.
time or distance. So everything is in the now, and it's right in, like in your costume, right inside. Yeah.
And I'm noticing against the cylinder effect, where I put the integrity of my intention and presence, it comes back to me in that. So it becomes that creative field
Yeah.
responding to the stable field of my intention and creation and belief.
Yeah. 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 And again, it gets so obvious, you'll kind of start laughing about it. It's like, seriously, this is how fast this is happening. And it's always been that way. You just haven't noticed because you get so distracted, right? But the great thing about that is it can end up being so empowering for you. You're like, oh my gosh, I am source. I am the one creating this. And rather than getting, ticked off about it or irritated with it, you go, yes. Yes, right?
Finally, yes, I got it. Uh, Amazing. So y'all, that's package A. We're still going through the package. I told you it was going to be a transmission and an activation. So package A, again, you have the group session, 35 to 45 minutes prep, and you're going to want to
Yeah,
prepare before and give yourself the compassion and the opportunity for grounding in and an acclimation afterwards as well.
yeah,
So it's for
yeah,
those of you that participate, which I hope everybody does, go in there with that awareness. Again, the
yeah,
supportive videos that come with it, and there's a slew of videos and a sound map that come in here also. It's extremely supportive
yeah,
for what's being activated within you. Again, that's package A. And that's valued, y'all, at $650 because working with Kasey one-on-one is typically at a different price point. We'll just call it that way. But what Kasey's also added for us also, again, is part BTO, because it allows this work to expand as well in such beautiful ways and support so many others. That because of our community, we get an extremely discounted personal session, a personal cylinder process session with Kasey and Julius for a combined package. So you get both packages at $274, which is valued at over $1,000. So it's a huge discount. But Julius and or Kasey, what's the difference between a group session and the personal session?
So the group session, we're picking really, a collective programming for you, okay?
Mm.
A collective aspect of program. And then when I have the opportunity to have this with somebody personally, we end up talking a little bit. What's your point of resistance in your life? Most people know. Most people can say, I can't seem to break the threshold of this or that or whatever. The process itself is about 30 minutes long, but our session's about an hour usually. I'm Gabby. I'm Gabby. And I want to know, I want to know, what do you want to go after? Okay. So that's how it becomes very personal. And whatever that is, there's nothing that's right or wrong. Everybody knows kind of what's going on with them. I keep repeating this pattern, or I can't seem to break the threshold of this, or I just don't feel worthy. Okay. Or love just doesn't work for me. Okay. What is going on? What are some of my blind, a lot of people, especially your people that are watching your show, John, they're on their conscious journey already. You aren't bringing somebody in that's like, just somebody off the street that can't handle any of the narrative that's coming out of your mouth. Okay. These people have been on their conscious journey for a while. And we ask people to kind of think about that. If you're going to have an individual session, what do you want to talk about? Okay. What do you want to move through? So that's where it becomes personal for you. And if you can't think of anything, like now you're maybe sitting there going, oh God, maybe I can't think of anything. Don't worry. Julius is going to handle something for you. They just always do. They just always do. You're safe. You're safe. Yeah.
Well, y'all, I've already signed up. I'm booking my date right when we hang up, so it's happening. But again, the special offer is there for you. Again, you can find the link in the live page underneath where you're watching on the video, same on the replay page, and always at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. Take advantage of it, y'all. This is fantastic to work with Kasey and Julius in this way. And I've had a lot of experience with Julius, so it's helped me on my journey tremendously. All right, y'all, it is time. I keep saying y'all today, by the way, Julius. I'm just saying, I'm
You're
saying
stuck
y'all.
in it. You're stuck in the hole because I'm in the South at this point. We got on the subject of y'all at the beginning of this thing, right?
We did. It seems to, if I say 3 times on one call, I think I've said it 10 today. So it's in the field. Um, let's go into some Q&A. We've got a couple people, their hands up already. If you want to ask your personal question, raise your hand. You can type your question into the chat box. And Linda, it's good to see you. Let's start with you.
Hi, Julius. Hi, Kasey. Thank you,
Hi,
John.
it's
It's a rare
so lovely
privilege,
to see you.
and I appreciate being called on. I appreciate it very much. I'm kind of in a stuck point or in a loop right now, and I'd like to get out of that loop as soon as possible. I'm having some physical difficulties that normally never hit me, so I don't know what brought it on. Um, I'd sure like to get rid of it.
Yeah. So we're going to say that we believe, Master, that what we see is a culmination of traumas for you. It feels like you have traumas from being young, and something is bringing them forward for you. So they've been things that you have been able to remain hidden for you. We're not sure it's appropriate to speak of them here on this platform, so we're just going to say that they're traumas. It feels like you have quite a fair buildup of them between the ages of infancy to the age of 5. It feels like you have issues of abandonment in your life, and that usually is what ends up stacking. So we'll call it energetic stacking by the time that you reach a mature state in your life and in a mature aspect of desiring yourself as source. So rather than being fearful of them, rather than being fearful of reactivating them, you take a position of clearing them, cleaning them with love. And if something emerges in your memory, you tell yourself always, Master, how safe you are. As things come forward, what is traumatizing is that your safety was compromised. That's what trauma is. It's a safety issue. And so when you're learning to work through your traumas, and you will beautifully and masterfully, you will continually tell yourself that you're safe. Feed yourself. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. So these things can no longer bind you. But that's what it feels like it's happening. It's a great transition time for you, for things will not emerge unless you are ready to move past them. And more than anything, you are ready to not judge them so you can move past them. Does that help you?
Yes, a lot. And yes, you were right on with everything. Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Kasey. Thank you, John.
You're very welcome. It's wonderful to see you on the call today.
Blessings.
Blessings to you. And let's continue. Let's go to Diane. Diane, let's get you to start your video and unmute your microphone.
Am I good?
You're great. Welcome to the call.
Hi, thank you for taking me. Hello to Kasey and Julius too. And my question is just, what would Julius say is my priority right now that stands out to focus on?
So Master, here's the interesting thing. Everything creative is a priority for your soul. Anything and everything creative is the priority of your soul. And creativity comes in many forms. It comes in many forms. So it's creating new things in your life. It's starving for it, as a matter of fact. Okay.
Okay.
You can't be wrong when you are choosing something creative. You are not limited to your creativity. Your soul doesn't say, I want to do this creative and not this creative. It's anything, Master. anything creative, and you're going to unleash your soul and put it in lead position. That's what you're craving right now. Craving. Mix it up. Do something fun. For heaven's sakes, literally, Master. You do not laugh enough. You are very hard on yourself. You are very self-critical. And we want you to ease off just a little bit. Just ease off, because your soul is playful and joyous and very childlike. And if you come back to treating yourself that way and recognizing yourself that way, creativity will flow and you will feel satisfied and joyous and welcome to a magnificent existence.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sounds like play is the priority. Amazing. Good assignment. Thank
Okay,
you, Diane.
thanks.
Blessings
Thank
too.
you. Bye-bye. You
Let's
too.
continue. Laura, let's go to you.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Kasey and Julius, for being here. I'm so excited for the new season. So I had wonderful news last Sunday that my disability was approved, finally. And I also found something, a spinal stimulator to help me with my back pain. And I was just on top of the world. And I felt a shift. And I was wondering if that was a real shift or if it was just kind of joy in the moment, if that makes sense.
So, Master, everything's a real shift. So everything's real. Okay. What real is the way something feels to you. Okay. And what you need to do is just accept it as a truth. That if you start clamoring and questioning and doubting, you're going to kill it. Okay. And of course, that's a natural process for you, right? So as you're moving through the excitements and the shifts and the change of your life, know, Master, that it's true, because it is. Whatever you know becomes for you. Whatever you doubt leaves you. That's how it works. Do that every day, Master. We noticed that you said you had something joyous happen the other day. We're like, what happened today? Right? Tell us what happened today. What happened right now? That is so joyous, right? And you declare and you know it as truth, and so it is, and so it is, okay? One thing that we will speak of, if we may, Master, if you have a moment, and that is this: the disability system is extremely low frequency. It just is. It is a system of judgment, and it is a system of punishment mostly. That's the truth. It's just designed that way. Now that you're going to be in that system or playing in that system, Master, be extremely mindful of keeping your energy up before you do any form of interaction with that system. Before you open a check or move a check deposit from your bank account, light your bank account up. If there's any correspondence that comes through, make sure you light it up before you open it up. Do not react to any requests that they make for you. Take 3 days, if you possibly can, to come up with your mindful and thoughtful, heart-based, soul-based response. Stay away from fear, stay away from reactivity, and don't worry, Master, it's not going away. In fact, it probably will increase for you, so stay out of fear while you're interacting with that energy. Does that help you?
Yes, very much so. Thank you so much.
And you are blessed. Thank you, Master.
Blessings, Laura. Julius, we are so programmed, or many of us have gone through the experience of being programmed with waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Something good just
and
happened.
So then it does, right? And so
Right?
then it does. And you're right, right? You're always right. Because you create your reality. That is either a very tough one or a very self-empowering one. Always. The only difference, Master, about whether it plays itself out or not is your awareness of it and your expectation as to how it's supposed to play itself out. That's the glitch. Okay. When you go in and you say, I know this is going to be of vibration, and then watch and let it be. But everybody has preconceived notions, right? They have expectations. Oh, it needs to work out this way, and therefore it's good. And if it doesn't work out this way, then it's bad. And we're like, stop it. Stop it. You've got to allow the vibration to show itself. And here's the coolest thing, like for beautiful Laura here. and she recognized that she had a joyous moment. And isn't that magnificent?
Mm.
And then she recognized that she had a shift in her vibrational field, because she did, because it hit every 7 aspects of her body, because she felt heard. Isn't that lovely? Laura felt heard and seen. How lovely is that, right? Now, Laura needs to hold on to that vibration and let it keep going. Keep letting it play itself out, Master.
Mm.
And we are setting our intention that it will play itself out in pain relief for you, in healing for you. But keep quiet when it comes back to that system. Allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself to be the extraordinary embodied truth aspect of source that you are, Master, and allow that shift to show all kinds of new possibilities for you. And John, that is the answer to that question. The high vibration will show itself. Hold it. You notice in the process, we were like, hold it, right? Everybody just pops and releases, pops and releases. We're like, hold it, right? It is so much fun when you figure out how powerful you are. You will never be bored again.
Amazing. Laura, blessings. Thank you for inspiring the question and the conversation, and seeing you in your highest, which is wonderful. Julius, Kasey, we have a question. Linda's asking, in package A with all the dates, so when we sign up, do we choose one date that we get to participate in? It's one
That's
day.
true. And you can change, if something comes up, you can change. But yeah, you'll pick your date that you participate in, because again, we do account for how many people are going to be there to make sure that there's an adequate amount of an appropriate amount of energy for everybody. So yeah, you'll have your choice options. And if you need to change that, you'll be allowed to change that in the system.
Wonderful. And then in the system, and again, you're going to get the recordings of all the supporting materials. So you'll get that immediately. You can start listening to that now. And you'll also get a calendar link once you go in and you put in your password. It'll take you, if you purchased your one-on-one session, you can go ahead and go to the Calendar link there and book your session. So that's how it's working in the back end of the special offer. Linda, I hope you have an amazing time.
Yeah, and we have an extraordinary support team. John, JC and Sue.
Yes.
JC and Sue are amazing. Our support team is amazing. You won't get lost. You will get very personal service. We promise you will be taken care of. Any questions, any comments, the support team is there for you.
Beautiful. And y'all, what's going to be here for you also is the transmission of today as we go into the replay and we're finalizing today's call. The transmission that we received earlier, the dropping in into the breath, the vibrational attunement, and the facilitation that's coming, not just through the mind, but through the opening that the new thought form is expanding us into, is available to you. And I'll call it as a master class that you can keep coming to. So know that the replay will be up shortly later this evening. And again, there's an opportunity to go in deeper with Julius, with Kasey, with the special offer. The link's in the chat box. The special offer button is right below on the replay page, on the live page. And you can always access the special offers at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. I feel full today, Julius. You're bringing it. I love it. Thank you so much for the way that you're showing up and not holding back.
It's the best. Like, it's the best to interact, right? It's the best. I want to say this again, with all sincerity, and thank you all for allowing me to channel Julius for you. So this is me, Kasey, speaking. To have the opportunity to have time with you is the biggest honor, isn't it, John? Like, seriously, right? To be chosen or picked means that you're trusted. Oh my gosh. That is such an honor, isn't it? I mean, when I have the opportunity to get just jam-packed with sessions, I'm like, yes, so much fun. at the end of the day, when I talk to my daughter, I talk to Sue or whatever, like, how's your day? And I'm like, man, it was the best. The best. The show is the same way. The show is the same way. I've looked forward to the show all week, been jacking up all the students with being able to come in to have the opportunity to interact with your audience. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for interacting with me. I appreciate you so much. John, thank you so much for having me. You know how much I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Love having you on. Just really love what you're bringing in. And I really love, again, being in the field of the expansion that's created as you create that expansion for yourself and then share that with others. But also just love being in the co-creative field without agenda of what's going to come through, but also in an awareness of how it's serving those that are gifting us the opportunity to transmit for them. So yeah, it's my favorite playground. Thanks for joining me in the sandbox, and I look forward to the next one. And I'm looking forward to my session also. So thank you for that.
Fantastic.
And all of y'all, thank you for being in the sandbox with us today and for playing and for opening. You were watching on the replay. Play with us more. Come to some of the live calls if you can. If not, you're here in spirit. You are sharing your vibrational tone, and I know that your questions are coming through the conversation as it's expanding through the live questions that we have. And just know that all of you who are showing up in whatever way, that you're honored, you're so valued, you're so loved, and I bow down to each and every one of you, and namaste. And with that, I wish you a great day. Bye-bye.